How you doing, Jessica?
Director. Doing all right.
So, um,
How are you settling in?
uh, pretty decently, to be honest. A lot of motivation around the office, so that makes my job a million times easier. So,
Oh, that's good. Well, obviously, I wanted to speak to you about possibly inquiring on transferring over from the LSPD.
mm, okay. And what shift would that be for?
Primarily shift 3.
Shift three. Um,
Yes.
and your experience?
Pretty lengthy so far. I've been in Los Santos Police Department since about February. I am part of the RP unit, which I'm the only one on shift 3 currently, and I mostly focus on 911 calls. I also
Mm,
do a little bit of investigative work when I'm able to. And so far, I've been pretty good in court.
okay. Um, could you give me a breakdown of a case that you've worked anytime in the last since February, one that you are proud of, and sort of break down what the scene was, how you handled it, and how it came to a close.
I mean, I've taken some to bench trial recently, and mostly it just comes down to being able to collect all my evidence and
Mm,
actually speak to it all and making sure it's all documented correctly.
mm,
The only one I'm working on right now is mostly little small things.
mm,
I see problems, I address them, and I handle them. Like last night, two very hot deagles ended up in the trash can of Mission Row.
mm,
Coordinating with supervisors and making sure that they weren't knowledgeable of their disposal, collecting them and investigating the nearby trash to figure out who disposed of them. We have it
mm.
narrowed down to two possible suspects.
Interesting. And
17 times attempted murder of a government employee was attached to those guns.
that were in the trash.
Yep.
And who may I ask are those suspects?
An LSPD officer and a BCSO officer. I'd give you their names, but I don't have my MDT right now.
Understood. Um, so one thing to note is a major shift in the direction the marshals are going to be taking is to move away from what I would describe as IA related role.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, in that, unless there is a very, very egregious case of corruption, um, it is not something we are going to do. We're not going to act on it beyond how we would if we were in one of the departments as a commanding member, right? We would ensure that that
Right.
information were delivered to the appropriate department, and the onus would be on them to deliver any further investigative work and then deliver whatever they feel is fit. A big decision maker in that aspect is as follows. I'm a strong believer that uh, it's important to get extremely good at one thing before diving into other things. We live in an environment where the whistleblower will get more punishment, more flack, than anyone who commits the actual incident. This is a problem throughout the police department, but it is one that is much grander than what the marshals can resolve. And
Mm-hmm.
but simultaneously, if I were to relate the current state of long-term investigations, anything handled beyond the initial incident, right, or the initial day, it's in the dumpster. Individuals are not being brought in for interrogation. People do not think about what it is that they saw hours ago and relating those things. Not enough pressure is put on gang organizations, on larger organizations that are serially producing, terror across the city. And
Mm-hmm.
that is the area I want to direct us. What that means is each and every marshal must be a self-starter, must be the one reaching out to those that need information, simultaneously being the one that coordinates things. I want when a marshal comes on scene, there is a feeling by deputies and officers that they are in good hands, that the scene has meaning because we are present, that the that we don't need to flaunt who we are, our department, our vest, our authority, but rather our mere presence alone and the accomplishments we build over the next coming weeks and whatnot is what makes people look at us to say, hey, we need them, and we cannot exist without them. Right? Respect through action rather than a demand for it. So, are these qualities that you feel would align with yourself?
A lot of them align pretty closely. I'll tell you, I've garnered that reputation in Shift 3 that when I show up on a scene, people are pretty confident that the evidence is going to be collected, statements are going to be done right, and that if it was taken to bench trial or court, we'd have a pretty solid case. There wouldn't be any dancing around trying to find anything.
Very good. Operational security is a major factor that plays into our role. There are going to be things that we are aware of, things that are sensitive due to the simple nature of lives being at risk in an environment where law enforcement, unfortunately, will sometimes prioritize T-sipping over the value of that investigation. Investigations can die very quickly if the wrong person is saying the wrong thing. Do you have a general understanding of what OPSEC would look like?
Of course, making sure that the information is contained and regulated to within a necessary circle.
Rather transparently, I've put a halt on all hires until those that are in the department have what they need in order to succeed. However, I am familiar with some of your work. And as such, I am going to do the following before we go too much further. I'm going to have a chat with the existing Shift 3 marshals, see where their head's at. Obviously, the decision is final with me, but it is important that I weigh their, opinions as well.
Of course.
Who of the marshals today, are there any that you have particularly worked with?
Not closely.
Hi,
Most of the
guys. Bye,
time
guys.
Hey.
I'll be honest with you, I have hardly ever seen a marshal in Shift 3 face-to-face.
Really? Okay. Do you know if they have been on
their
duty?
own duties.
I
There's
understood.
been 2 or 3 sometimes, especially since you got your new position in. But I rarely see them. They're mostly off independently doing their own thing.
Understood. Well, that is one shift I am looking to be making. Obviously, there will be marshal leads, so to speak, on certain cases. And I wish for them to work those cases. But simultaneously, say a incident takes place, I look at the marshals like, I'm sure we have 78s today, right? Where backup request is needed for whatever scene it is. Not our scene, but we're going to it, right? Because, well, by we, I mean law enforcement. Marshals don't have to go to those. Right. But, law enforcement goes to those 78s, not necessarily knowing the details, but knowing assistance is needed. I look at the marshals as collectively responding to a 78s for a crime scene. Specifically DOAs, long-term investigations, etc., such that if Luca here has a case and something with this case pops off, while we may have our own cases, he effectively is able to call 78s, ensuring that marshals who know what the fuck they're doing are on scene there to assist. One person's taking the DOA, making sure that the reports are written. Another two may be taking photographs, crime scene information, and leading on him to delegate what he needs in order for him to succeed. Especially when a lot of these cases need a lot of hands, right? And it's the idea being, let's spread the workload so that within 12 hours we can get all the damn interrogations done, right? Separately. So in other words, queued into enough of the stuff that we can go in there and assist that individual, right? No reason why we can't have 3-4 simultaneous interrogations if the need may arise.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, one of my biggest concerns and one of the things I'm wanting to address as a marshal for Shift 3 is, in the event that the law enforcement has 78's calls, it typically takes up every law enforcement agent in the state. And what I have seen time and time again is during these long situations where every officer is tied up in a shooting, we're often missing very important 911 calls. I mean, I've seen it twice in the last 2 weeks, where we get a call from CMC medical staff that a victim of torture has woken up and is looking to speak to police. Well, unfortunately, officers aren't available for another hour and a half because they're all dealing with this massive shooting.
Very true.
I get concerned seeing these things get put to the wayside. And
They could be huge. That could be the difference between someone catching someone. Yeah, no, I am as well.
And that's one of the reasons I joined the RP unit, was to allow myself to be set aside from most calls to be available for 911 calls and those direct person-to-person interfaces with people in the city.
Well,
granted, we're not going to have some of these massive, crazy things going on at night during the Shift 3 time. And that's why I want to help direct my ability and a part of the marshals to make that more available when they occur.
Okay. Well, I'll put it like this. I think you have the right mindset. Give me 24 hours and we will set up a meeting with my existing Shift 3 marshals and yourself, and we may make an exception here. So.
Understood. I'll need to talk to my high command as well.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll be glad to get rid of me.
Why, have you been causing internal strife?
Well, no, I did stab a marshal formerly, and I did kill one of their friends before I became a police officer.
Oh. Which one?
Madison Bancroft.
And
I stabbed Daisy.
Oh. And then you reformed, I take it?
Well, the gang voted to essentially go straight, disband, and everybody got government jobs.
I see.
And now I've taken an oath. And there's one thing I hold very close is holding to my oaths.
All right. Understood. Well, okay. Very well then. All right. We will talk soon then, Jessica.
Sounds good. I'm sure you'll need to do a thorough background check on me and everything regardless.
Yes.
But I appreciate your time, Director.
Absolutely. All right. You stay safe. And you have those urges in check, I assume.
What's that?
You have the urges in check?
Oh, of course. I mean,
Okay.
there were never urges, more necessity.
Understood. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We'll speak soon.